Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another breakdown. And this time, we're going to talk about the song "In a Beautiful Place Out in the Country" by Birds of Canada. Which is featured on the EP with the same name that they released in 2000 in between Music Has the Right to Children and Gio Gaddy albums. Again, this EP deals with cults and things like that, which seems to be an obsession that they do have. This track, it's a great example of this kind of cryptic sound, this paranoia theme that they like to play around, and it also represents this kind of this feeling of longing for nature, this nostalgia towards a life in a country or something like that, but mixed with this sinister, this weird kind of eerie feeling to it. So yeah, that's about some of the context of the song. Let's now actually talk about the arrangement, the structure, chords, and what they did that make this great record. This song is it's a fairly slow tempo song. It has a BPM of around 98, so it's a kind of a slow song. It has also some fluctuations here, as usual with them. We have this kind of an intro here. Let me demonstrate it for you guys with the BPM. Presenting us with this laughter sample and this main pad doing the main chords. We're gonna have a fade in here for the drums in this area. I mean, I think this still sounds like an intro for me. Alright, so the drums are beating up for us to get here. Around there, I think it's something like close to a verse because we get the full drums kind of idea, and around this area here we also have the bass and some melodies happening, some new elements, but the core of the idea is around this area here. Iconic sample, and we're gonna have that for some time here, and then the bass, it's another melody at this point. Okay. And after that we're gonna have this little drop here, no drums or anything, just the bass and this melody, and then we get another verse, some kind of an outro with this little solo here that we're going to be talking about later. And that's it. Then we have this, it could be like something like this that serves us as an intro for the song. Then you have this whole A area here, this A part here, which we could call a verse. We have this little drop, just a drop on the drums and on some elements, and then we have the verse once again, but this time not for so long, and then we have an outro. Okay, so let's dive into the chords and how they build this song. So because this is a fairly simple song, as I mentioned earlier, they had to add a lot of details to the production so that it keeps getting interesting over time, because as you guys can see, it's really repetitive, especially this main idea that we're not going to be talking about. Okay, so let's now listen to how the song enters, how the song starts, which elements are present here. We have this pad fading in, and we also have some kids laughing, but that's pretty much it. The sample is treated in a way, I think they chopped it and put some delay on it and some other processing and some other effects. Okay, let's talk about the chords here that they are playing. I assume these are the chords If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments. The first one that we have here, let me show you guys this way. The first one that we have here could be called an A minor, pretty much. This first one is, I think it's straight up an A minor. The A, the E, another A, and a C natural. So that leads us to an A minor. So the second chord is C minor with an E flat on the bass. Here we're gonna have the bass doing this E flat, then a G, a D, and again repeating those notes. The third chord that we have here, I assume is a G minor, although we do not have the B flat, the third of the chord being played here. We don't see it happening, but taking from what we just heard here, I would assume that this would be a G minor, and again playing along with it, I think it fits. This last chord here is a bit tricky, and it's a bit weird. I think this is a D minor 7. I hear D, an F natural, a C natural. I don't really hear the A. I've tried, I put it all over the place, but I couldn't figure it out so much. I think this is a pretty common thing amongst the Birds of Canada song. They omit some of the intervals of the chords, and this gives this. They're giving us less information, but also presenting us with tools to kind of fill the void that these omissions, that these notes that they subtract cause. But I'm gonna highlight it here along with the song, and you guys can tell me what you think. Maybe the chords are not so accurate. Let's discuss that. Okay, so let's hear it. Just my chords. Along with the original now. I also recreated the laugh samples here, but I did an approximation because I couldn't figure out at which point that they sampled the source that I'm thinking that they sampled, which is taken from this weird record song. I don't know how to call it, but it's named Singing Games, and I just took weird part of it and tried to replicate it here, as you guys can check it out. This is my recreation. This is the original now. That's me now. Okay, that's only the children. I just took it from the Singing Games audio, as I told you guys, and chopped it, put some delay, some other effects. It's just basic sample, which also just I didn't put so much effort in it, but it fulfills the role of giving this ambient thing, this landscape, kind of a living ambient for the song to be happening on. All right, this chord progression, I believe so, is 5 bars long. We have for 1 bar the A minor, and for another bar the C minor, then the G minor for another bar, and for 2 bars we have the D minor 7. Okay, so that's kind of how long the core of the idea is. So after this 10 bars of the main idea, of the core idea, we then get presented to the drums. It slowly fades in, as you guys can see here, and it hits its fullness around this area here. So let's listen to the original song for the from here and try to catch when the drums hit. We have again another loop for the core idea along with the laugh samples. We hear the snare. This kind of a low frequency also, which I couldn't identify, but we also hear that. It isn't the bass at this area, at this part here, the drums are settled. So let's talk about the pattern of the drumming. At first, let's hear for the kick here. I'm gonna make it louder so it's more obvious. I'm gonna mute my version. Again. Okay, so it's pretty simple. I think it's hitting on every bar here, so it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4. And we only have these little variations here, like we have 2 hits, but this is the main one. We have this before the 2, but it's gonna be a weak sound, a weak kick, but it gives this groove. It creates the groove of the song, the groove of the beat. And the snare here, it's gonna be on the 2 and on the 3. So a very simple and basic rhythm with the 1, 2, 1, 2. Because the kick's doing those variations, it gets more interested. It gets more interesting. Like the rhythm has some movement that compels us to keep listening to the song. And the hi-hats, they also happen on a weird impulse of the tempo, on a weak impulse here. We have the 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It happens on a weak impulse. Instead of the strong impulse would be this area here, so it should be like this. Oops, like this. But now it's actually on the weak impulse. So this is one bar. This is a bar, one bar, and this is the strong impulse inside of that bar, and this is the weak. So the hi-hat is happening on the weak impulse here always. So it gives us also this movement and a groove to the beat. So a very basic and simple beat could be interesting if we make the effort to just twist some little details, add some spice to it. There's also something else that they do. You are listening to my recreation, sorry. But as you guys can see, it's pretty similar. But you get the main idea. I was gonna talk about the fact that they also play around with the effects of the drumming, the drums. The snare here, I did an automation for the reverb because they did something similar to if you guys can listen to it, compare, pay attention to the snare sound, because the reverb is gonna increase and then decrease depending on how strong the emotion of the song is, the drumming, the beat. We barely hear the drums, but it's increasing its volume. Now a lot of reverb. Every time that we get to this area here, the reverb, it's going pretty loud. A lot of reverb here. Then it dries after that. And here just a drop, which is a great way to introduce us to the first sample, or the first voice sample or something like that, because they could be sampling from around here. I don't know where this pad is from, but this sample I do know where it's from, and it's a cool story. They sampled an interview by a woman called Amo Bishop Roden from a 1996 episode of the TV series Mysteries, Magic, and Miracles. titled Visions, Cults, Alchemy, and More. In this interview, Amo Bishop Roden says the following sentence.
When you come out and live in a religious community in a beautiful place out in the country.
So I think that they maybe took the idea for the EP from possibly this episode. She was part of a cult of a weird one, which was called the Branch Davidian. I'm not so sure what it was about, but I've read that it was a case similar to the Wild Country episode, the Johnstown Massacre. I'm not so sure, but I think there's it has this weird conspiracy theme vibe to this weird interview and everything. I don't know if everyone that can distinguish what she's saying, can understand what she's saying. They use this in a more of an aesthetic thing, a style thing. But I think that once you understand it, the song again has another layer, another way to see things, and it's interesting. So as I talked to you guys earlier, we have this little drum part here, and it drops around this area, and we have the 2 bars of the D minor accordion playing.
Come out and live in a religious community in a beautiful place out in the country.
They teach us another lesson here as how to introduce us to new elements to a repetitive song like this. As I talked earlier, this is the sample that they created. I'm gonna put it for you guys, the original sound here, so you guys can check it out.
When you come out and live in a religious community in a beautiful place out in the country.
And I'm also gonna show you guys how I recreated this sample here, but I was gonna talk about this area here because we have the core idea happening here, the 5-bar idea happening, and then here we should listen to the drums happening again, but we don't. This is really interesting. The voice sample actually enters before and along with the pad, but we only hear the drums, especially the kick, a bar later. So it delays the drums, and it gives us again this expectation, this weird uncertainty that something should happen and it didn't. Then later it happens and it gives us this sense of completion or something like that. That's how I feel, at least. So let's check that. Where's the drums? So the drums are the same, they maintain the same pattern, and the sample here. Okay, so you guys heard the original. What I did was a vocoder here. I couldn't get so close to what they did on the record, but I just tried to mimic the main features of this idea, the sample idea. So it should sound something like this, the way I remake it. This is my version. The original one, it's way more present on the mix. It's louder somehow and more clear too, less crispy and less distorted as I did. But that's because I can't spend so much time on the sound design part of things, on these recreations and breakdowns and everything. But I can explain to you guys in a simple way how I tried to remake it. I began by understanding what the melody was. It's tough because it almost sounds like there is no melody, but there is. isn't that. This is just, I just did a rough approximation, but you guys got the main idea. There is this melody to it, and then I put the sample here through this MIDI thing using the external channel here for the vocoder, so you guys can route it to the MIDI here that I played, and they both playing together should sound something like this. Going with everything. The original one is way more complex, and I think there are some missing notes here too. But I think the focus for this, well, the majority of my videos is to just understand the way that they did things and they arranged the things. I don't want to be super accurate on recreating these ideas. I just want to get close to how they possibly thought through this arrangement and how they managed to display their ideas. So simple yet so complex at the same time, and that happens a lot with Birds of Canada. So we have this cycle here of 2 samples. We have this 15 bars of the core idea, and with the 2 times of the sample to then get to this bass. I've mentioned earlier that I think that there's some low frequency happening around this area too, but the bass, it's obvious at this point here. So I'm gonna play it from here, and then you guys are gonna check it out, how heavy the bass enters and how we are craving for that bass actually. And live in a religious community in a beautiful place out in the country. So yeah, these are the notes that the bass is playing. I didn't actually make it so clear, but the vocoder idea is playing these notes here: a B flat, a C, and a E flat again, a D, a G, and a C once again. So the bass is doing actually an A natural, an E flat, does G, and a D. This A is from the A minor chord. We have this E flat doing the bass for the C minor chord. Then you have a G minor. And later on for 2 bars, we have the D minor 7, as we talked earlier. So yeah, in this area here that I said that the bass enters in this 5-bar cycle here, we also have this little drop on the drums. Let's now listen again with the bass in mind, and for this little drop here, which again is gonna vary the song a little bit. This is again gonna change a little bit the structure of the song and fulfill the role of a little pickup thing, a little build up for again another voice sample, and this time along with the bass. So let's listen. Reverb on the snare, increasing. Drop, the sample, again heavy with the bass. You guys get the idea. The same 5-bar cycle, again with the same drop, but this time the drop is gonna serve to introduce us to this melody. A beautiful melody. Okay, cool. This is a reoccurring theme in this arrangement. This little spaces, silences. The notes which they are playing in this melody is it's an A, a D, a G, again a C natural, another G, a D, another A, and then a D. I'm not so sure about that, but I think this could be a G minor song. I'm not so sure. It feels like an A minor song, but it couldn't be with the E flat and the B flat. It could be a B flat major song, but I don't get a major feel from this song. Again, I'm not so sure about that. So this is the melody. Let's check it out again, but highlight it from the little drop. Okay. this is the core idea. Oh yeah, this area here, the voice sample is different. I even put something here, this exclamation points here, just to represent that they again play around with the reverb settings, and the end of the sample, it's really washed up with reverb. So let's listen to it. Bigger compared to this one. This one is not that bigger. It doesn't have this stereo image. Different. Again, another simple variation to keep things interesting. And the snare is always making this fluctuation with the reverb. We still listen to the kids laughing on the background, but it's really subtle now. We're gonna have another little drop here, but we don't have. I said it was a little drop, but as we don't have another part for the drum here, it's actually gonna be a real drop this time. And again, with the voice sample from Amo Bishop. We get a clear idea of it. So cool. This time they processed it way more, so it has a lot more of delay. I think it's increasing as it's going through time, and it gets to the end so intense and louder and repeating and getting like this mass of sound, this whoosh of a sound. I think it's gorgeous. And now we're gonna only listen to the bass and the band. It's so soothing, so calming. The kids are now getting more present in the mix. It's a very melancholic song, but also kind of innocent, kind of a little happy. And the drumming, the melody is on point, man. Little drop, and again. So we still have the reverb fluctuations. This is going to happen. This happens through the whole song. It's so different here. Another reoccurrence of the sample idea. But the core idea is repeating from the first 5-bar cycle here. It's pretty much the same. I think so. Okay. We just missed this little detail here. So yes, as I said, we have again the melody for another 10-bar cycle, as it happened there. We have then again the voice sample, and this time we're gonna have this little fragment, this last statement about the song. It's a beautiful kind of a solo thing, which made me call this area here an outro, just because of this new element, because this song is pretty much just the same as before, with the same elements, the same core idea, bass, kick, snare, and hi-hats, but this one is a little bit different. So let's listen for this solo there from here, from the voice sample, from the end of the voice sample. The thing that intrigues me with this idea here, it's that it's so underneath everything, so underneath the mix, that it makes me think, what were they thinking? What were they intending to do with this, to create with this idea here? Because I didn't listen to this. I didn't realize that this was happening until I listened for the song over and over and tried to catch every detail. And I think this shows the importance for us to do this active listening to the song, so that we can actually dive into it, understand more and more of what is happening. And when we stop and think about the reasons that the elements that appear in a song are there for. Like, why is this element happening only once and at the very end of the song, and in such a low volume? It's so intriguing, but it's also a beautiful melody, and I'm gonna highlight it for you guys because maybe some of you couldn't listen to it. Once again, this is a rough approximation. It's not so accurate. This is not accurate, actually. But yeah, it's something like this. So I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna just put my recreation so you guys can check it out. Crazy on this voice sample with this area. I think they messed up with the pre-delay so much that it almost sounds like a delay. I'm not so sure. Let's listen again for this. That's crazy. The bass is pretty much the same. A lot. There isn't a bass here, I think. So again, the voice sample is really present, and just a pad, finishing everything as it started. We also obviously have, I think it's a high pass filter here or something like that, changing the frequency, this sound here. So that's how the song "In a Beautiful Place in a Country," "In a Beautiful Place Out in the Country" ends. It's a beautiful song. Again, the themes of cults, of cryptic, weird stories, and this kind of weird tips and things that they put inside of their songs are present in this arrangement. But for me, the main idea, the importance of this is again to think about how simple the song is, but yet so complex, and how we can do a lot more with a lot less. You know, we could use little instruments and few instruments to make this whole idea, this whole song so full and so breathing, so alive, because every now and then there is something different happening. Yeah, if you guys want to know any more details about this, let me know. Talk to me what you guys want to listen, hear, and see. From now on, as usual, I'm gonna leave you guys with my recreation. All right, until the next time, guys.